What is up, everybody? Welcome to our Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness spoiler talk. I'm your host, Hunter Chambliss, and of course, I had to get my co-hosts Chad and Kerri on to talk about this Sam Raimi MCU films. How's it going, guys?
It's going great. Always a pleasure to chat movies with you, Hunter. Very excited.
Yeah, really stoked to be here. This was a fantastic movie, in my opinion. I mean, we'll get into it.
We can pretty much all say that I think we all loved it to certain degrees.
Yes.
You're not
I
going
will
to get
say
any haters here of this movie, so
yeah, this movie is very divisive right now.
Mhm.
But that's kind of Sam Raimi movies in a nutshell, if we're being honest. Very, very divisive films. But let's start off with our like non-spoiler review for this movie, and then we can go into more spoiler talk a little bit later. I'll start if you guys don't mind.
Yeah.
I wrote in on Facebook this little like mini review where I said, this is everything a Sam Raimi fan and an MCU fan have been waiting for, especially if you're waiting for those two to come together. It's got everything. It's got the Sam Raimi really quippy, almost like dark comedy to it. But the action is really good. Of course, the MCU set pieces are really good. I wasn't expecting how gory this movie would be for a PG-13 rating, and I love it for it. But it's not just, great action and great gore and great effects. It balances a great character with Wanda, which I love. Seeing her arc, especially, in Avengers Age of Ultron, where she debuted, to now, you see her great character progression, and this is, in my opinion, probably her best role as Wanda. I'm talking about Elizabeth Olsen, excuse me. But just everything about this film, I absolutely love. I'm seeing it again on Saturday because I know I missed tons of details. All right, am I good? Okay.
Yes.
But yeah, overall, this is a movie that I've been looking forward to, and it did not disappoint me. I'm gonna give it a 3.5 out of 4 stars. Chad, Kerri, you guys want to go next?
Go ahead.
Oh, sure. Yeah. This one, as like a Sam Raimi fan, I remember when the news dropped that it was like, because Scott Derrickson, I believe, was gonna first do this movie.
Yeah.
And then when, it turns out he dropped out for whatever reason, I don't remember. And then Sam Raimi jumped in. It's like, dude, like Sam Raimi can do a Doctor Strange movie. Like I just knew it right off the bat because I'm like, it's Doctor Strange. He's strange. That's what Sam Raimi is. That's what he brings to horror films, but also superhero films. Even like some of the Spider-Man stuff in the original trilogy is strange. And he's done these big action superhero movies. Like he gave us, in my opinion, the best Spider-Man. I know some people say Tom Holland, that's great, but I will always still be a Tobey Maguire stan for that. But I also love Tom Holland and Andrew Garfield in those. But enough about Spider-Man. Sam Raimi crushed those, but then he gave me everything that I wanted and more in a Doctor Strange sequel. But yeah, I will talk about exactly what you said about the divisiveness of this film, because I knew it was going to be. Because as long as Sam Raimi brings in his, type of humor, type of flair and everything, just kind of weirdness to him, when you bring that in there, you're going to lose some people who are just wanting a straight like MCU film with no toppings. But he brought the toppings. I love the toppings. I'm pretty sure most Raimi fans love the toppings, especially some of the toppings concerned with a special cameo that comes in the movie. That's fantastic. But yeah, I loved all of the surprises that we get. No spoilers right this second, but all the surprises we get are fantastic. I didn't have the trailers like spoil them. Apparently, trailers spoiled them for some people. I didn't have that. I love the Wanda stuff in this movie. I love the Steven stuff. I love some of the new characters, not just the cameos, but the new characters that they brought in. Yeah, it's just an overall fantastic film for me. Honestly, unless I rewatch this and then I start to nitpick things, maybe it might go down to like a 3.5 or a 9 out of 10. But for me, it's a 10 out of 10 right now. I just adored this movie. I thought it did everything fantastic.
Okay. Yeah, I also absolutely adored this movie. I guess for non-spoiler review, I think like you guys said, Elizabeth Olsen is really at the top of her game, and I think she was also at this level in WandaVision. And it was just absolutely fantastic to see her featured so prominently in this movie, and she's just acting her ass off in this entire movie. And it's really wonderful to see, like especially how much she has grown as an actress, her character has grown. And I'll have to say that this movie made me really love Stephen Strange. I've never been,
Yeah.
a big Doctor Strange fan, and this one really showed like his heart and how much he cares. And he still maintains that demeanor of like kind of the cockiness, the sarcasm. So I think it is still very true to his character, but we get to see how much he has grown as well. I think a lot more than we even did in the first Doctor Strange movie. This thing, like I think like the short review you said, Hunter, this thing has everything you could want in a Sam Raimi superhero movie. And I think then some. I was hoping for as much horror as possible, and it really exceeded my expectations in that there's some fantastic gore, there's maybe some great monsters. And then I think the final piece that I wanted to touch on is we get this great new character in the MCU, America Chavez. And she's portrayed by, I had to look this up, and this is why I wanted to wait, and I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing it, Xochitl Gomez. And she was absolutely phenomenal. And I was shocked to see when I got out of the movie, I looked her up. She is only 16, and she probably was only 15 when she filmed this movie. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
She was young.
She was young, but usually it's like, an 18 or 19-year-old portraying a younger teenager. But she was really young, and she totally held her own with fucking Benedict Cumberbatch and Elizabeth Olsen. Like,
she was one of my favorite parts of the movie for sure.
Yeah.
Loved her.
And so I am very excited to maybe see more of her in the MCU.
Oh, I hope so.
Oh, I definitely agree. So I actually have the full like my actual Instagram post pulled up, so because I couldn't really find my words during my review, so pretty much I said a dark ride. Sam Raimi brings a horror twist to the MCU with tons of emotional moments between a star-studded cast and a dark sense of humor. It's everything fans of the MCU and especially fans of Raimi have been waiting for.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and it's sad that like it's kind of divisive. I wish, like no hate towards people who didn't enjoy it as much as we did.
Oh yeah.
I wish people could have liked it more, and then maybe, after kind of the dust has settled, people rewatch it, maybe they'll enjoy it a little more. Is kind of my hope. But I think it's looking at like Rotten Tomatoes and hearing some people, it's not 50-50. I think it's more like 80-20, but it's a very vocal 20.
Yeah, so the actual Rotten Tomatoes rating, I looked it up the other day. It's actually still pretty high for an MCU movie.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the critics have it at a 74%, and the audience have it as an 87%.
Right.
So it's very close when it comes to like it's still rated positively on Rotten Tomatoes between fans and critics. As you said, it's just the minority speaking louder over some of the positive reviews.
Yeah, I mean, it's far from like a bad movie. I think it's just you probably will get a lot more out of it if you love both Sam Raimi and horror,
Yeah,
because it does really get into a lot of horror, which, for the first little bit of it, I didn't know if it would. And then, like, later on, it really does. And I was like, whoa, okay.
I would even venture to say that especially pieces of this are very Sam Raimi horror specific.
Yeah.
yes,
And I could see some. I think if you're not familiar with Sam Raimi and his style, it could come off as really like corny or maybe
Yeah.
even like bad effects. But I think if anyone who didn't like it maybe went back and looked at like Evil Dead or Drag Me to Hell, they might actually kind of get more out of this movie.
And I think a lot of people do also with those other ones are even if they're big horror fans, sometimes are divisive or
Yeah.
split on those films as well.
yeah,
Especially like Drag Me to Hell, I think is very underrated. But even like the Evil Dead, some people might go, it's too comedy for me. And I'm like, well,
Yeah.
rewatch the first one. That's barely comedy.
exactly. I feel like because I've been doing like watching like viewers online, like people who are fans of Raimi or not fans of Raimi. And the thing I've noticed is people who know his style seem to love it more than those who either don't like the Raimi style of like the camera angles and things like that,
Right.
or don't really know enough about Sam Raimi and his type of horror. And that's where the split comes from.
Yeah,
It
so
comes from either
they
you
just
liking
didn't
it,
know what to expect. Yeah.
yeah, and especially with an MCU film, which I have to applaud the MCU and Kevin Feige for allowing Sam Raimi to be Sam Raimi.
Yes.
Yeah.
This
Thank
film.
you. Yes, absolutely. Because
Because
yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
normally, and it happened on Spider-Man 3,
Yeah.
studios will get involved and force you or force creators to do stuff that they don't want to put in. Like Raimi didn't want to put in Venom. He wanted it to be a Sandman-centric Spider-Man 3. But because of how popular Venom is, Sony forced them to put more villains in that film. And it kind of shows because in that movie, Venom doesn't get a lot of airtime, and he gives more time to Sandman, which, in my opinion, Sandman is the best part of that movie because
Definitely one of the best.
Raimi's heart is into that character. So when Kevin Feige first, oh,
You're
sorry.
back. When Kevin Feige first.
Yes. So when Feige announced that Sam Raimi was coming back after 15 years to do a comic book Marvel film, I got kind of nervous because I was like, he's coming in the MCU. I don't know how much control they're going to give him. I don't know how much they're going to be like, you can't really do a lot of these horror stuff, which that's the reason why Scott Derrickson left, because he wanted to make it more strictly horror, and Kevin Feige was like, we can't do that, which I understand because it's the MCU's for the family. But my question is, how dark did Scott Derrickson want to make this movie if Sam Raimi's is still dark?
Well, I mean, I would say because Sam Raimi does have that edge to him where he's both really good at horror, but also very good at comedy and just
Yeah.
whimsy and silly. And that's exactly what I think a Doctor Strange like multiverse movie needs to be. And I think like if because Scott Derrickson made freaking what is it?
Sinister.
Sinister.
That's one of the fucking scariest movies.
I almost said Insidious, but yeah, Sinister is really scary. So it's
and
like
the black bone looks terrifying.
Yeah, so it's like if you bring that in, that would be an even like huge, bigger left turn. I feel like you need to kind of like if you're gonna ever make a really, really scary MCU film, I think you need to ease people into it.
That's a good point. I was about to say I would have loved to see an even more horror-based MCU film, but I do understand maybe easing people into it. And I know it's just not the franchise, you know,
Yeah.
to do it.
I do want to touch on what Hunter was talking about, because I totally agree. I don't know what the hell happened with Age of Ultron. I think it was a director problem, but also a very big studio problem. I think that was kind of one of the big, it's not a terrible movie, but it's not the best. And I feel like, studio involvement like got really big in that one. Joss Whedon stuff aside, like I think maybe there was just a lot of probably disagreements there. Hence why, he didn't return. And then we got the great Russo brothers.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I think probably from that movie on, they started to kind of learn their lesson a little bit, because also with Ant-Man, I remember, Edgar Wright like wrote pretty much the whole script there. And then they had to like kind of doctor it up a little bit, I guess. And then, Peyton Reed came in and did that. And I just always just wonder what the hell, because I really enjoy Ant-Man, but I wonder how great could it have been if Edgar Wright would have been.
I totally forgot that Edgar Wright was scheduled to direct Ant-Man and Wright. That would have been amazing.
Yeah. I mean, in a way, I'm kind of glad he didn't, because, we got other great Edgar Wright movies after that.
Like Baby Driver, which I believe came out right around the same time.
Absolutely. Exactly.
That Ant-Man would have came out.
I like Baby Driver more every single time I watch it. So that's definitely one I'm glad that,
That's one of my favorite Edgar Wright films is Baby Driver.
Yeah. Were you going to say something
about
studio
I mean,
involvement?
I'm wondering, if you're even right, though, that Marvel learned their lesson about that. I mean, maybe by the time now they've got
Captain Marvel and stuff like that.
Well, Captain Marvel, The Eternals is the big one, I'm thinking.
Oh, yeah.
Because you brought in
Absolutely.
out of left field, really, Chloe Zhao and indie directors really only directed like Nomadland and another film like
The Rider. Yeah, great
very
movie.
Based in reality, featuring people like very authentic stories, like total opposite of an MCU film. And I think that's why the Eternals just, or is it just Eternals?
I think it's just Eternals.
Eternals just didn't work
Either way.
people, because you have kind of Chloe Zhao's style on the one hand, and kind of whatever Marvel's probably telling them, you have to insert jokes and you have to put this storyline in, and like.
Yeah. I felt like that one, because Kerri is exactly right with what she's saying about like Eternals specifically. Like, I don't know how everyone who's watching or Hunter feels about Eternals, but
I've never seen it, so
okay.
No.
I won't really spoil too much then, but I really didn't like that movie like at all, and I really wanted to, because of Chloe Zhao. Indie kind of style. I do think she brought some of those sensibilities in there, because it was kind of a very different kind of MCU, and I know a lot of people really dug that. But then I just really didn't dig that. But then also, now I just don't understand, like, if there are people who really praise Eternals, but then dislike this Doctor Strange 2, I don't understand that at all, because it's the same type of thing. However, I think Multiverse works, whereas Eternals does not.
I will also say, and this is not to, make fun of anybody, because I've never seen the movie, but I think people who praised Eternals, now I could be wrong, but they probably don't really like horror, or they don't really like the Raimi style of horror, because
that's fair.
That's too, like, from what I've seen, Eternals are completely different from this film, and maybe
very different.
It was one thing that they saw, like, oh, I like how the dialogue, it's more dialogue heavy with Eternals. At least what I'm guessing is it's more about the dialogue, and this one's more about the action, the set pieces, the the horror of it. I wonder if that's just two different audiences, how they see two different films.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah. Did we want to maybe just jump straight into spoilers now?
Yes. So yes, guys, this is going to be a spoiler. Actually, I do want to bring up one more thing on studio involvement.
Yeah.
And things like that. I wonder if Marvel took a cue from what DC is doing over at Warner Brothers. because the past few years, and I actually love what DC has been doing. Every film they allow their filmmakers to make a film that they want to make. When you
Yeah.
look at, Joker or the Batman, or just different films, it seems like that's the film that the directors wanted to make without a lot of
Yeah.
studio involvement. I wonder if Marvel saw that and was like, if they're having success and they're letting their directors do what they want and kind of give them more leeway. Maybe Feige took that and was like, we can advance on that as well.
Yeah, I think post phase 2, that is kind of mostly the thing, unless they really had a specific
A
direction
plan.
they needed to take a character in. That's when they would absolutely step in. But I mean, like, I think post phase 2, like they let like James Gunn kind of like, have his movie and do
Yeah.
his thing with both of them. But yeah, I forgot to mention that's why Edgar Wright actually, he wasn't forced out. He stepped away because he's like,
Yeah.
if I can't make my movie, I'm not going to make it. And
Fair
I
enough.
totally respect that.
But also, it seems like after Endgame, especially, they kind of let off the gas of studio involvement because they're like, we have to at least get things in a row for Endgame, and after that, it seems like they're doing more multiverse movies, but they feel completely different. Like, I don't know where Phase 4 is going to go, but I like the mystery of it. I like being like, is it Kang? Is it going to be this? Is it this? Like, who's going to be the main focal point of this? Phase 4.
There is none currently, and you're kind of grasping onto the characters you know and love, like Doctor Strange and Hulk still in there, Captain Marvel now, and then you're like really liking a lot of the new characters, and even like as a person who didn't like Eternals, and then people who really did. I think we can probably all agree, like, I don't know how the hell they're going to bring all those people into it, like, so soon. Like, are they just going to do, like, an Eternals 2? And that was kind of my big problem of that movie, is I feel like it was 2 movies in one. And so I'm just like, what the hell are you going to do in a sequel to that? Is it going to be also very bloated?
And also, like, they set up a lot of stuff in Phase 3 that I don't know where you would go. Like in Guardians Volume 2, they teased Adam Warlock.
Right. Well, that's coming in Guardians 3. Guardians 3.
Okay.
So that's why that hasn't come in yet. Because I was wondering the same thing, and I was like, oh wait, there's a Guardians 3 coming out. So
because knowing the comics, kind of like how I do, I was kind of expecting to see a tease of Adam Warlock in Infinity War or Endgame, because he's the one who helps take out Thanos in Infinity Gauntlets.
Oh. Okay.
So I was like, well, maybe they were setting up to bring him in.
I guess they're just letting Gunn, handle that character, I guess. Who's supposed to be playing that one? Oh, I think it's the guy from Midsommar, and
hold on,
We're the Millers and stuff like that. I can't remember like what his name is though.
Will
yes.
Poulter?
Yes, Will Poulter. Yeah. That's right.
Oh, okay.
I think he's going to be that guy, which is kind of exciting because he's an interesting actor. He's done a lot of different stuff like comedy, drama. So it'll be interesting to see like how he is as like, I mean, he was kind of villainous in Midsommar and Detroit, actually. That was another movie he was very villainous in.
Joker in the Gotham TV series?
No, that's
another.
That's the guy from Eternals and Killing of a Sacred Deer. That's that guy.
No, you're thinking of the guy who's in the Batman who's going to play Joker.
Oh.
I'm thinking of the TV series Gotham.
I don't care about Gotham. I don't know who plays that character. Sorry, I was thinking about the Batman.
Look it up real quick.
But no, I really love Doctor Strange 2. I'm very excited to talk spoilers soon.
Oh yeah.
Once again, did you find anything out, Hunter?
No, all right. Sorry about that. I just wanted to bring that up.
Moving on.
Moving on to the actual spoiler portion of the review. So if you guys haven't seen it, go watch this movie in theaters. Come back and join us for this spoiler talk. Where do you guys want to start with this? I mean, there's tons.
Well, I was gonna say, like, because Kerri mentioned, I wanted to talk about this when Kerri brought it up, was she talked about how she loves Doctor Strange because of this movie, and like just kind of seeing his progression as a character, from his own movie through Avengers movies and stuff like that, but into his own sequel here. I think a really big thing that makes him super likable in that movie is because you get to see him contrasted with other Doctor Stranges in his own movie. You get like a villainous Doctor Strange, and then another one that's kind of like an anti-Doctor Strange, where he's not like villainous, but then he's going to, and this is the very beginning of the movie, he's going to murder America in order to take her power, because it's like, it's the only way. He pulls an Avengers Infinity War, and he's like, it's the only way.
So again, comic knowledge coming back into play a little bit. The suit that Strange is wearing in that opening scene is from the comics. That's the same suit he wears as part of the Defenders, which is him, Hulk, and a few others who are part of the Defenders team.
Yeah, like the TV show. That's really cool.
Yeah,
yeah. He had like such a different look. Like his hair was all tied back,
ponytail.
Yeah, it was like really interesting. And I love seeing that sequence start out with him in America, because you're like, who is she? You get to see.
This movie starts off fast, and I love it.
Well, I would say on the whole, this movie is very fast paced. It's like very similar to a comic book.
Yeah.
In that something is always happening. You're always moving on to the next thing. And there's a lot of stuff going on, and the twists just keep on coming.
Yeah, but not just that, but like when it does need to take a little moment to have some sort of character beat, it does do that.
Yeah.
It's not like it doesn't do the character stuff and the heavy actual good moments and stuff. It has those, but it is a fast movie. It's kind of like Captain America: The Winter Soldier. I would put this up there with that as one of my favorite MCU sequels, because it does the same thing where it is very, very fast moving, and you have this onto the next thing right after that, but it will take a moment here or there. But then it doesn't revel in that for too long.
Yeah. So the one thing that is totally Sam Raimi in this film is the fact that Doctor Strange and America Chavez are searching for a book.
Oh, yeah. As soon as they started going, like, we need to get that book, I was like, books, of course. It's a Raimi film. Yep, of course.
One is like a book of light, and one is like the book of dark. And I'm like, all right, so they're searching for the Necronomicon. Let's go.
Yeah, they were like the book of the damned or the book of the something. And I was like, this is
book
what? Okay, Raimi. This is awesome. Other great Raimi things that we want to bring up. Freaking Pizza Papa.
Pizza Papa.
Oh
my gosh.
It actually was interesting. Kerri, she didn't recognize him right away.
Yeah, it took me a few
I was
minutes.
like,
and I was like, why is Chad nudging me?
Yeah, literally, like, me and my brother are in the theaters. He shows up. I'm like, hey, look at this. Where's Campbell? Dude,
Pizza Papa.
Kind of like skipping to the post-credit scene.
Yeah.
Best funny post-credit scene.
It's over.
Punching himself in the face.
That's such great Raimi comedy. That goes straight back to Evil Dead 2. I swear. Like you're just like
the hand attacking himself. Yeah.
That and Army of Darkness. I think it was a little sillier. It was like kind of Army of Darkness a little bit there too. Just but
he keeps going for 3 weeks straight, and then like perfect timing. Campbell looks into the camera. It's over.
Yeah, it's over. But yeah, I adored that character. I thought those pizza balls looked very gross though.
Yeah.
But I did love the fact that America's like, well, it was very confusing at first when he kept calling her America, and I was like, is he talking about America right
America, fuck
America
you.
or America? But yeah, when he's talking to her and she's like, actually, food's free everywhere pretty much except for 616, your universe.
And then he was like, no.
And I love that they kind of set that up because that's a very kind of like Star Trek kind of vibe where like the idea of a post-futuristic society will not actually have currency. We won't be fighting over money like that. We won't be, lording over everybody who has the best money as the people who have the best stuff and the best, care and service. And this is like, no, everywhere else we kind of just share stuff. And we're all happy.
So the one thing that I actually love is that they brought into the MCU world Earth 616 and Earth 818.
Yes.
Which again, for non-comic fans, in the comics, the Ultimates universe, which you get like Miles Morales is from Earth 818. Earth 616 is our normal comic. You get like your Peter Parkers, your Bruce Banners, etc. The normal timeline. So I like that they took the multiverse and they gave them different Earth names from the comics.
Yeah, like even as like a non-crazy, like I don't read comics that much. I love that people have the time to do that. I wish I did, and it wasn't.
I don't have time either.
But I wish it wasn't also so expensive to read comics a lot of the time. There's probably better ways to do it, but
there's like the subscription.
Yeah, but I just really it's just a mixture of things. But I did know that they named the different Earths and stuff like that. I think they do that over in DC as well.
Yeah.
But I also thought that was very, very cool. I loved like all of the multiverse stuff that happened. I love the transition when it shows them going through all these different worlds, just kind of flying until they end up in the ultimate one, where Doctor Strange kind of reveals, like unofficially, it's kind of a feeling that he has where he's like, America, you know how to control your powers. We always end up where we need to be when we travel with you.
Yeah. So in the 818 universe, I did have one tiny issue. And it's not even a big one. It's just when they go to that memory portal thing, I'm like, it's kind of a way just to give like an exposition dump. To be like, this is where she's from, blah blah blah. Instead of doing it through dialogue, which I mean, it's still a good way to show it. It just, I felt like you could do it more through a dialogue, and then a flashback. Like maybe she's talking to Strange, and that comes across through a flashback instead of being like, here is a machine that shows you what she went through.
Like when Strange sees her parents and stuff. I feel like though, like I don't, I love your criticism because it sparks good dialogue because I forgot about that moment actually. But I actually thought that machine was kind of cool because we don't have to get all of the dialogue that we could have gotten if they didn't have that, because here they're both seeing the same thing and then they can talk about it. It's not her just explaining this whole situation like, I was on the planet with my moms, and then they got sucked into a hole that I created, and that was the first time I ever. If they would have done that, I think it wouldn't have been as cool. But they actually got to show like new technology that a different Earth might have. But
again, though, I feel like you could have done the dialogue between them, where it's like maybe he asked her why you couldn't control your powers, or why are you so afraid to control your powers? And that's what she brings up. Oh, because I'm searching for my parents. I feel responsible for them being, potentially dead. And then you can kind of show the flashback, like to the audience, and then you can kind of like have her explain it, and then show the flashback. Cut to a flashback scene and you see what happens.
Yeah. I think that's mostly kind of like a style preference type of thing. But what did you think about that, Kerri?
Yeah, I think the only thing with that is I do wish we got a little bit more background on America, because that is really the only time we see her
You need to get
backstory.
down.
Yeah. You know, but it's hard. There's a lot going on in that movie. I do wish that is actually, if I had a criticism, I wish we could have actually seen a little bit more of.
Apparently, there's a Raimi cut. There's this movie was 2 hours and 40 minutes.
I'm down.
Oh.
Anything Raimi cut, I'm down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when I say that this is probably a 10 out of 10 for me, it's not at all saying that this is a perfect movie.
Yeah.
Like, there are very few, if any, actual perfect movies out there. So there's definitely criticisms that people can have, and they're valid. I was talking to a friend earlier, and he had a good criticism where, because a lot of the criticisms I've heard previously, to me, weren't something that I agreed with. Not that they're not valid, but I spoke with him, and he was saying that and kind of introduced this a little bit. We've been kind of beating around the bush a little bit, but Wanda is the main villain of this movie.
Yeah.
And to talk about what I was going to talk about, I had to bring that up.
Mm-hmm.
And not only is she the main villain of this, but she's probably my favorite villain I've ever seen in an MCU film.
She's in my top 5. On my rewatch, it may move up. I just got to see it one more time.
I just love all of the horror stuff with her. I love that you totally understood what she was doing, but you were against her because you're with Doctor Strange the whole time. You're like, no way, that's wrong what you're doing, but I totally get it. Like, if I lost my kid, so she loses her sons in WandaVision, and so this is a whole thing where she wants to be.
Has had it bad in the MCU.
Yeah. Losing Vision and then getting a whole show about your grief, which I thought was fantastic. But then losing your sons, and then this is another transition into villainous Wanda. I loved the twist at the beginning. I loved all of the horror stuff they did with her. But one of the big criticisms with this that my friend had, that I was like, that's actually not a bad point, but I still don't care that happened, was that she starts to have these really reality bending ways of killing people. And he was like, well, if she had that the whole time, then why didn't she do that earlier in the movie? And I'm like, wow, because technically if you never have that, then it's not as awesome. But if she did that earlier in the movie with everybody, then you don't have a movie. So you have to.
What do you mean by the reality bending?
So okay. Another spoiler thing that's
big
awesome.
Spoiler.
We got the Illuminati in this, which I didn't actually know who that was, but it's like a group of, it's like an Avengers kind of group.
Yeah.
And so we got the Inhumans guy, and we got John Krasinski
as Reed Richards.
Reed Richards from Fantastic Four.
Not gonna lie, I was not spoiled for that, and I am so glad I wasn't.
Me neither.
I did not expect to see him.
And freaking Patrick Stewart as Professor X in this.
The yellow chair with the green suit from the animated show.
Yeah. When he wheeled out, I was like, no. It was like, oh my God. Like, apparently,
by the way,
I got that spoiler, but I was surprised. I had no idea.
By the way, Elfman's score, when he comes out, you hear the.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
He did that with the X-Men theme. When you first see Wanda, he plays the WandaVision score a little bit.
I love that. It reminds me of Scream 2022. If you haven't seen Scream 2022,
Dewey's theme.
But yeah, the Dewey scene, straight from Scream 2, when he comes out and you have the kind of David Lynch Twin Peaks style, boom, boom, boom. I can't the score, but I love that part too. So I love when characters have their own little themes in movies. But yeah, to answer your question, it was specifically when she unraveled John Krasinski as a string cheese or Twizzler or something.
Like
Yeah,
spaghetti.
I think it's just she
Spaghetti.
didn't really,
Know how to use her powers?
Well, no, I mean she was just trying to destroy stuff.
But also at that point, she was also doing the mind. What's it called? The
dream walking.
Yeah, dream walking. So she was dream walking to another body, and maybe that multiverse that she took over had the mind bending powers.
And if she's using what is the book called again?
The Darkhold.
The Darkhold. If she's using that kind of power, maybe that adds to her power or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's also at the beginning. So at the beginning of the movie, well, she kind of says when in that first conversation she has with Doctor Strange that she sent the demons after America because she thought that was the more reasonable and humane thing to do. Than
She was holding back.
Yeah, she even says that she's holding back. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
And even Strange has a line where Wong is like, why? Or I think it was America asking her, why is she, has these powers that we didn't know about? And Strange was like, she's not holding back.
Yeah. They do explain
she's not being humane.
That's a good point. Never mind then. I mean, that's the thing when a movie's new, sometimes you got to watch it a couple more times to really get a great scope of whatever. But it might be recency bias, but I just love this movie. When you see a movie and you just go, I love that. Like, it was the same reaction I had to No Way Home. Mm-hmm. It's just, this is a little bit extra because of the Raimi-ness of it.
Because it's Raimi.
Yeah, so
where else should we go into this? Because there's a lot that happens in this movie for it only being 2 hours.
That's so true. I feel like this movie had so much in it, yet it was not as long as a lot of MCU movies try to be. And I'm like, that's amazing. I feel the same way about Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. Like, you think, like, so much happens in that movie, but it's only, like, just over 2 hours.
Yeah. And that's the one thing that Raimi does really well is he packs a lot of content and action scenes and things into small amount of time. Hence why I was nervous when I first heard the runtime. I was like, how are you going to do all of this, introduce a new character in 2 hours and 6 minutes? But then I remember I was like, Evil Dead, the first one, is like right at 2 hours.
Yeah. And I think isn't Evil Dead 2 like just over 90 minutes or something like that?
And the fact that he's able to introduce us to 5 new characters in that movie, fall in love with one of them, brings in the Necronomicon, brings in the horror elements. I was like, okay, that makes me feel better because I know he can pace himself very well. When
just about to say it's phenomenal pacing is what it is.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry.
Kerri, you bring up something?
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. So, the one thing that another thing that kind of another thing. Sorry about that. Another thing that kind of had me cheering was toward the end with the whole thing where he has to use the dead body.
Yes,
that was like my favorite.
Zombies.
So I love that they brought in. They gave a little bigger role to Rachel McAdams in this movie because I thought as Christine that because her back on 616. Or she's getting married, stuff like that. And then this is a whole theme throughout the movie where you can tell Doctor Strange really wants to just be with her.
There's a really good chemistry between them two.
But then you're like, he's made mistakes and just, is not around all the time. So he just hadn't had the time to really like spend to build a relationship with her. And then, you kind of get to see a little bit of that, with the other Christine, and I really liked seeing them work together, and I'm interested to see where that relationship is going to go with like him and maybe that new Christine, like if he sees her again.
Maybe. I think though Raimi set it up very well though for the loop on Christine to be closed here.
Yeah.
Like maybe we'll see her, a couple times in other contexts, but it really did feel like, at least on Doctor Strange's side, he really got some sort of closure. Not even really with his Christine, the 616 Christine, really with the other Christine.
Yeah.
But I think even him seeing like they really couldn't make it work in any of the universes that he saw.
I guess that's true.
Kind of helped him kind of accept like maybe this just is never going to happen, and maybe that's for the best.
That's true. When you can see like the different multiverses and how everything's kind of seems connected, even though they're different. And like, you see kind of the same patterns sort of happen, even if it's a little different. But then I also feel like they were kind of saying too, a little bit like, well, just because this thing happened in that one doesn't mean it's always going to happen in everyone. So I think they're saying kind of both things a little bit.
Oh yeah. Well, and the big thing is the evil Stephen Strange and kind of the Hellverse they go to.
They were talking about me.
Stephen finds out that his whole motivation was he was trying to find another universe where he could be happy, and maybe like happiness to him equated being with Christine. And I think that really like set him straight on like, not trying to mess with universal powers and like the multiverse just to be happy and like.
Wait, are you saying that Doctor Strange finally learned his lesson and not mess with the multiverse?
Well, I don't know because towards
he didn't learn it in No Way Home.
Yeah, he definitely didn't. Well, yeah, there's some interesting stuff about like some fan theory, because originally this movie was slated to come out before No Way Home. And so some fans were theorizing like it was very out of character for Strange to perform the spell he performed in No Way Home. People were theorizing whether like he had been taken over or like.
I was one of those people who were like, Strange is what's his name?
Sinister Strange?
Mephisto.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, and then there were also some that, because of how the movies originally were supposed to be slated, were thinking that maybe originally Strange was supposed to do the spell for Peter Parker because the Darkhold had taken a hold of him. Because he does, like touch the dark, he uses the Darkhold in Doctor Strange. Yeah. And so maybe he's like sort of been corrupted and like, or was beginning corruption. But anyways, that's not the order of the movies we got.
I do.
Sadly not.
Unless we still want to keep going on that point. I have another one
There's one line from Christine that I want to bring up. It's actually one of my favorite lines from her. She's talking to Strange and she's like, I love you in every universe. Or in every multiverse.
Okay.
And I'm just like, that sucks because that they can't be together no matter what universe they're in, because something always happens. Because another line she says is, you always want to be in control.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you won't let me, help you. You always want to be in control of everything, which it's true. I mean, he wants to be in control of everything, but then when everything goes down, he doesn't want to ask for help.
But he ends up asking for help, and she does help him because he, like as we alluded to before, he takes over the body of the Doctor Strange that gets killed at the very beginning of the movie. And when he has that line where he's like, I didn't say it had to be alive. And he takes over this like zombified kind of body.
Zombies.
But then not only that, basically she's like, those things that are attacking you for doing this and messing with the laws of nature, those things you could take advantage of, take hold of them.
He controlled them.
And then he made a cape out of them.
Yeah.
Which is amazing.
I was like, of all the shots in this movie, that is a Raimi shot.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then you're like looking at like Wong and stuff, just kind of looking over at him, like flying towards them, like what the hell? Doesn't he have a line where he goes, or no, Wong's like, I don't want to know, something like that.
Nope, I don't want to know. I
It's like,
will say, back on the Illuminati for a second,
Mhm.
I love the fact that they brought in the what if characters. Because we
Yeah.
had Captain Carter,
Yes, we did. Yeah.
true, true.
amazing.
Yeah.
And then we got Monica Rambeau as
Yes,
Mhm.
Captain Marvel,
Yeah.
so
which
cool.
No,
she
Maria
is
Rambo. Maria Rambo.
We get
Maria.
them
Yes.
confused because it's two M
It's two
names.
M names. Two M names that end with A.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Um,
that was really cool. Yeah.
and I actually love that Mordo is a part of this group in this universe because technically speaking, he is the Doctor Strange of that multiverse.
Oh, I didn't know that. But that
Because
is another thing.
Doctor Strange is a Sorcerer Supreme, and since Mordo is in this universe,
That was the other thing that I wanted to kind of bring up before. So this is the perfect lead-in because I love the bits between Strange and Wong, where Wong's just like, it's just a thing that I get because I'm the Sorcerer Supreme. He just keeps like poking that at
nudging it.
like, by the way, I'm the Sorcerer Supreme, right? And just Wong is because like a big thing in the first movie was like he's trying to get Wong to be like, are you just serious all the time? Like, are you funny? Are you fun? And he's like sitting there like, didn't he like listen to Single Ladies or something at one point?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you see that Wong can be fun.
Yeah.
And then like in this movie, he's very fun.
Yeah.
And I just thought that back and forth was so cool because I'm assuming Doctor Strange is going to become the Sorcerer Supreme at some point, right?
Oh, I don't know. I thought that was like a very nice, like kind of.
I mean, in the comics, he is.
I know, but I thought it was kind of like a cool
Yeah.
thing to do where like
At
Wong
the
wants to be Sorcerer Supreme.
yeah, because at the end of the film,
He does.
the one thing that I love that they added is because they brought up at the beginning of the film that when Strange meets with Wong to begin with, he's like, it's customary to bow to your Sorcerer Supreme, and at the end, Strange turns around and he bows to Wong as the Sorcerer Supreme.
Oh, nice.
So
I mean, I'm not saying that Wong is not a great Sorcerer Supreme. I'm saying that I'm sure if we keep going on with Doctor Strange, he's going to eventually become the Sorcerer Supreme and be, in the new Avengers or whatever the hell this new iteration of the Avengers is going to be called and how it's going to look. I'm really excited that it's going to be a lot of like women and stuff. Like I'm very excited, going on to like I know this isn't the topic, but like Love and Thunder, I'm very excited to see
Jane Foster Thor,
Natalie Portman has in store. We have Captain Marvel, and then I don't know what they're going to do with Yelena's character. If she maybe joins Kerri Yelena, Florence Pugh.
okay. Yeah,
So I don't know,
another one I haven't watched. So.
Oh, okay. Well, have you seen Hawkeye?
Yes.
Well, she was in Hawkeye briefly, so you've seen her character a little bit, but
I have.
So yeah, but they're increasingly, adding a lot of like women, so diversifying it, and I just think it's going to be like a really interesting look at what comes next. Are there any other parts of the movie that we haven't touched on?
I want to bring up a criticism I've been seeing by some the audience and things like that, and I want to get you guys' take on it because I know my take on it when I first saw it, and so a lot of people are kind of pissed off that they brought in the Illuminati just to kill them off so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
My opinion on it, it was necessary because it shows you how powerful Wanda truly is, and it shows that in the comics, the Illuminati, they're more, how do I put this? They're jerks. They don't take anybody as a threat.
Well, I mean, like the first kind of thing that you hear about, like what you see with the Illuminati is like, I can't remember exactly what Doctor Strange did in their universe, but you see them like killing Doctor Strange.
So
like, we had to do that, and you're like,
in order to defeat Thanos, Strange of that universe used the dark hold, and they were afraid that he would end up being corrupt. So
Yeah, but
No, he caused when the two realities crashed together, he basically came to them and confessed and was like, "Oh, I was messing
You're right.
around and traveling and dream walking a lot and traveling to different universes, and I caused the
yeah, but you can see, like, even though he did something like that, he admitted it, and then they go and
Yeah.
they kill him anyways.
Yeah.
Even though he repented to them, he was honest with them, and they said, so at that point, it's revenge. So you have a really good point about the Illuminati being revenge kind of assholes a little bit.
Well, and also in the comics, they overlook a lot of threats. So, like, they were the catalyst for Planet Hulk or World War Hulk in the comics. Pretty much the Illuminati seeing that Hulk is kind of, could possibly be a threat. They ship him off to a planet called Sakaar, which we see in Thor Ragnarok. And when he comes back, Hulk is literally pissed off at the Illuminati and goes on a rampage against them for sending him off.
So they're basically kind of like the Minority Report police.
Yeah, so
the
they'll take care of a threat before it happens.
And that's very ridiculous, I think. And so I don't like that. And but I think it does add like an added morality question to the MCU.
Yeah.
Maybe you can question that. But I wanted to touch on my thoughts on that criticism because, well, I mean, it's kind of a strange. See what I did there? Kind of a strange criticism for me because it's like, yeah, I know people love these characters from the comics. They're very excited to see them. They don't want to see them go out like that. I get it. But you also have to understand, like, exactly what you said. It shows just how freaking powerful Wanda is, just how scary she was. The thing that I love that it added to the movie too is that it really did give the movie stakes. You're like, I don't know what the hell's going to happen. Pretty much anything can happen. Like, I think the only thing we probably know is not going to happen is Doctor Strange is not going to die or something big like that.
Even that, I was like, that could be in the air.
You never know. But since they also add multiverse elements to this whole thing now, we can see another Illuminati. Yeah. Who's to say we can't?
Well, I was going to say, I think the thing is here that is, Marvel was maybe making a statement like, we're not going to, I mean, it would be so, like, right, so far we have only been in, I guess you would call it Earth 61 or Universe 616, right? Mm-hmm. And even when we've gone to multiverses or other universes have come to Earth 616, it's always still focused on the original characters from, what we consider our universe. And I think if Marvel's not going to then do a movie in Multiverse 818, that's like totally separate, and it would feel really weird because it's obviously not really connected to the rest of to the other universe. Like, I don't know. I think they kind of were saying like, oh, we're going to have these. It's going to be like a cool little shout out. We get to see kind of some of these characters everyone's been wanting to see, but we're not going to continue with this. There's not going to be like an Illuminati movie.
The one thing that
there's an Eternals there. Why not an Illuminati?
Why not? But the one thing that I don't feel like a lot of people remember is the fact that was on Earth 818. That's the ultimate universe. In Doctor Strange in this movie already admitted when he first saw Reed Richards that there is a Reed Richards on his multiverse, on his universe. So because we have, the Fantastic Four movie coming out at the end next year? Yeah, at the end of the year next year.
Right.
So that Reed Richards is alive in our multiverse.
So now I think this begs the question of, because we've seen now with the patterns of the multiverse that most of the time, not every time, but most of the time, it's played by the same actor in like every one. but sometimes it's a little bit different, even though it's always connected. Like Captain Marvel with Maria Rambo, you know, and then Agent Carter with Steve Rogers. So they're always connected, but you know, sometimes, most of the time, they're always the same actor. So we're gonna see John Krasinski again. I hope so,
and
but you never know.
Rumor is he might be directing the movie as well, since Peyton Reed,
so cool,
or John Watts dropped out recently.
Yeah.
So they may be getting John to come back and do acting and directing.
He could do horror as well. So well, I
Yeah.
don't know if he would, but you know, he can. You know, with A Quiet Place. So
I just feel like I understand that people were like they were wasted cameos. They weren't though, because we needed their scene not only to show how powerful Wanda is, but to show that Strange can't just run away from his problems or what his past selves have done.
right.
And that's literally his past coming back to haunt him. Yes, it's not his, you know, that multiverse version or that universe Strange, but it's another Strange doing the exact same thing that their Strange did. He's going through the multiverses again.
And it was really cool to see that they were all so well. First off, when they killed their Doctor Strange, you can see, like, especially on the Inhumans guy, I don't know his
Black Bolt
character's name. You could see how he was ashamed of what he did, but then also he still kind of was like, well, I really still don't trust Doctor Strange's. But then you get to see Professor X be like, you know, let's see what this one has. And you get to see that was a really cool moment for him to be like, you know, I think they can be different. I think they can change.
Yeah.
And then to see him go and try to rescue the Wanda you knew was kind of in there in her mind, like, but then the oh god, and all the horror stuff, the jump scare.
So another cool. We have to talk about Patrick Stewart and Professor X. One, seeing him in this movie, amazing.
Yeah.
I wish the marketing didn't spoil that, because that would have been amazing. But
was it just a voice, or did you actually see him?
You saw the chair.
Like, articles were out that he was in.
Oh, I don't read articles, so.
In the first trailer, in the first teaser trailer, you see someone in a chair roll up, and then you hear him say, "Let's tell him the truth from this."
This is why I just don't pay attention enough to trailers. So I guess ignorance is bliss sometimes.
Yeah, because I did not know about Reed Richards, and I freaked out.
Yeah, same.
Either,
yeah, we were like, you know,
and I think the Wanda villain turn, for me, that was, I think, definitely not spoiled, because if you even look at the synopsis of the movie, I don't know if it still says that, but when it was coming out, it basically was like saying like, oh, Doctor Strange and Wanda team up to like fix. They basically imply through the trailer and through like the synopsis that it was going to, the problem in the multiverse was going to be because Doctor Strange did that spell in No Way Home.
Right.
Which I actually like that as a version of expectations. And that's kind of why I wish they didn't show any of the Illuminati in the trailers. Yeah. Apparently there's a trailer even called Illuminati.
That's dumb.
I didn't know about that. I didn't watch that one. But again, it's kind of why I like Jordan Peele's trailers.
Yeah.
Because I watched both trailers for Nope. Still have no idea what the fuck this movie's about. I know aliens, and that's it.
Yeah, and you really don't need to know. Like, I mean, we've seen time and time again where the best way to watch a movie, or a lot of the times the best way to watch a movie, like you can get a teaser to get hyped to see kind of what this movie's going to look like, at least, but just like a taste. And then when you go into a movie mostly blind, you end up enjoying it way more.
Yeah. Oh, I agree with that for sure.
So I actually have here on on Wiki on my phone. It says, all right, am I good? All right, so it says that the Illuminati explained that on their universe, Doctor Strange used the Darkhold in an attempt to defeat Thanos. Earth 818 Strange, or 838 Strange, triggered a universal destroying incursion. After defeating Thanos, the Illuminati killed their Strange to prevent him from causing more harm. So he caused an incursion, and then that's why they ended up killing him.
Mm-hmm. Still shady to me, but
By the way, I love that scene with Black Bolt because you truly see how powerful he is. It took one whisper,
yeah,
and he was dead.
yeah, and I just don't understand, like, people who have criticisms, and it's a fair criticism. If that's what you think, that's your take.
Yeah.
But I just don't understand, like, what did you want? Like, if you were writing this movie, what did you want to see from this Illuminati? Like, oh, just them not to be dead. But there was a point why that happened.
Yeah.
Wanda wasn't taking any prisoners.
I will say my favorite death scene of the Illuminati is Black Bolt's. Just the Reed saying, "Oh, Black Bolt over here can destroy you using his mouth," and Wanda just going, "What mouth?"
Oh,
and
yeah.
then you're just like, "Oh my God, Matrix! She matrixed him."
And his head explodes.
His
Yeah.
head explodes. I'm just like, "What just happened?" And then I love the Professor X scene when he's in that white room.
Yeah.
And he sees, I guess, the Wanda being controlled underneath the rubble. And then all of a sudden it's all white and then red smoke appears behind him.
Yeah, I alluded to that
"Oh,
earlier.
no."
Yeah. That was
Such a good
amazing.
scene.
I love that visual representation
And then
of
she snaps his neck.
yep.
Which
So great.
I would be okay with them just killing off that version, Patrick Stewart's version of Charles Xavier, and then recasting later on down the line from another multiverse.
Yeah.
Let the man rest.
Yeah.
I agree.
He's almost
It was a
90.
really cool moment, but yeah.
Should we bring up the first mid-credit scene with Charlize Theron?
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about it.
So she is playing someone called Clara.
Okay.
I did a little bit of research on her, and apparently she is the niece of Dormammu in the comics.
Dormammu. Oh, okay.
She later becomes Stephen Strange's wife.
What?
Yeah, so she becomes Strange's wife, and later on, she takes the Sorcerer Supreme title from him when he retires, or dies, or whatever. What
the hell is going on in those comics? How the hell does Dormammu have a niece? That's a big
don't know.
celestial universe thing.
Oh,
what the hell did he
they
do?
Could be setting that up though as the next big. I mean, it is like you guys said. You really don't know where they're going with this because they've set up. What's his name, Kang, or whatever.
I feel like they're setting up for Kang, and only because they brought in Reed Richards in this movie.
But they're also setting up for Dormammu or whatever the fuck,
I hope
through
not.
Eternals and
I've always wanted for this next saga for Doctor Doom to be the next big.
I feel like Doom is going to be, which could be possible because they could be setting up as well for, it's not Armor Wars, it's
Secret Wars.
Secret Wars, yes. Yeah. Secret Wars in the comics is run by they send all the Marvel characters to a place called Battle World, and it's run by God Emperor Doom. So it's Doctor Doom with enhanced powers from the Power Cosmic ability.
And the big thing that I love, if we're talking about the same storyline, the big thing I love about that, which I don't know if they're going to actually do it in this saga or whatever, but they basically, like, all of the heroes think that Doctor Doom is God. So they just think that he is the biggest thing ever, and they
Yeah.
don't know that they're all being brainwashed by Doctor Doom. It's really cool. So they have to
So
slowly figure that out. And
yeah, the only reason why I say Kang might be the next major villain, and it could work,
is that Jonathan Majors, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah,
Right.
it's because they brought Reed Richards in here, and that multiverse's Reed Richards said something about having a son. And he didn't say he had one son. He said, I have children and I have a wife at home when he's talking to Wanda.
Mm-hmm.
That gets me wondering. We all know in the comics he has two sons. One is Franklin Richards, who is an Omega level um, hero. So he's like super powerful, like almost Wanda level, where he can create different multiverses or different worlds like Wanda could in House of M.
Mm-hmm.
But his other son is Kang the Conqueror, or would become Kang the Conqueror through time travel and things like that. So the fact that they mentioned that he has sons and a wife at home, the fact that they brought Reed Richards into this movie about multiverses, they set up Kang in Loki as someone who can travel through multiverses and can time travel, makes me feel like we're not done seeing Kang the Conqueror as a main villain in the overarching MCU.
Yeah, I'm down for whatever they want to do. With loving No Way Home and this one so much, and also Shang-Chi I really liked as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they're batting a really high average right now, despite how much I didn't like Eternals.
And I loved Black Widow. I
Um,
think the only one, and I actually liked Eternals, but I didn't like it. I didn't like it nearly as much as I love the other Phase 4 films.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that they're, I mean, Phase 3 is like the best phase that we've ever seen of the 3-4 phases. But I think I'm so excited to see what they do going on. As long as they have a plan, like an overall plan, which Feige does.
Feige always has a 10-year plan.
Right. But also, if they continue to let the John Watts and the Sam Raimis and the John Krasinski's of the world make their own movies, according to his plan still, but make their own movies,
Yeah.
I think this is going to be so great. And I'm very excited.
So we didn't even touch on a lot of stuff. Like, I still want to bring up the fact about Wanda's whole character developments.
Exact. Go ahead.
Literally, I'm not sure if she's my favorite villain, but she's in my top 5 because I still think I love Killmonger. Like, Killmonger is always gonna be top for me just because like Black Panther is one of my favorite MCU films.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
Michael B. Jordan is one of the reasons why I love it so much.
Yeah, I adore Michael B. Jordan, but like and this is probably because I was doing debate, but like, a lot of like Michael B. Jordan as Killmonger this last time dropped a point for me. I'm not going to get into why, but I still think he's fantastic in the movie.
Yeah.
So I agree.
Wanda's whole mission here is she is conjuring up dark spirits from the Darkhold so she can find her children.
Mm-hmm.
And the end of WandaVision already set this up. So I don't know why there is some criticism saying that Wanda's like villain turn was like sudden.
I don't think Kerri has anything to say about this, so I'll just talk.
I do want to say, okay, sorry.
No,
because I do think WandaVision left off where you see her with the Darkhold, but if you don't know the comics, like me, I didn't know what that was. I just thought, oh, she's like studying up on magic so she can like become more powerful and stuff.
Yeah.
And I didn't really realize that but I think the movie did a good job of explaining the dark hole does corrupt anyone who
Yeah.
touches it, and that's why, you know, she maybe had good intentions when she like first got it, but it like twisted her and corrupted her. And I think actually, if the ending had not turned out the way it did, with her finally realizing her mistakes and destroying the dark hold, I think I actually would have been like, this was a really kind of an unrealistic turn for her, because it is a hard transition, because in WandaVision we do still see her as she hasn't turned at the end of WandaVision, and she's immediately evil at the beginning. I mean, she did the whole West is it Westview?
Yeah,
Westview thing, but then she was the villain in that, really, but then she undid it and, you know, like realized her mistake, and then but then she still went to this villain turn. But I think if they didn't have her ultimately you know, turn good again, I would have been upset with this and would have been like, this is really unrealistic for this character who's like grown so much and already started out as the antagonist, then joined the Avengers, then enslaved the town, then undid it, now is the villain. Like, but I think they pulled it off in the end.
The only thing I'll say about that is the end of WandaVision. Yes, she undoes the spell, but if you look at the townspeople when she's walking away from Westview, they still see her as the villain, because you have to remember, she didn't just enslave people, you know, and they don't remember anything. They remember everything, and it was painful. That's what they brought up in WandaVision. It was painful. Like, she was hurting, not only emotional, but she was physically hurting the people that she took over. And that's where my whole thing comes, is like, that was a slight breaking point. And then the end, not only is she, you know, conjuring up dark spirits, like, you know, the redness, everything in the shot, but she's also like mind melding, or what's it called in this movie where you can jump from one multiverse to another through the mind?
Dreamwalking.
Yeah, she's dreamwalking, because remember, we see one Wanda outside in the orchards, and then we see a completely another one in the witch clothes.
Oh, well, I think that's a different thing, because dreamwalking is only if she was in a different like universe.
Okay,
so yeah, like actual projection
in two different locations.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I get though that, like, I don't know, because WandaVision, maybe if I went back and watched WandaVision now, I could see where it was like kind of ambiguous, where she undid the Westview stuff, but maybe she was kind of just, I don't know. I thought it was kind of, she came to terms with everything and undid it, and kind of like, I don't know. But I might have to just go through and watch through again and see if the progression
so
really
WandaVision is a very intriguing show, because it rides that line. She's thinking she's doing right, but she's doing the wrong things for it, which is what she is in this film. Yes, she's doing wrong, but in her mind, she's doing it for a good reason. She wants her children back. You know, after losing her brother, after losing her husband, after losing her kids, it was a breaking point. Yeah, she had happiness for that one moment, but that was because she found vision. That was the only thing keeping her sane. And that's what I saw, especially if you watch, you know, all the movies again, especially where she debuts. She wasn't even a villain in that one. She was being used by Hydra. So I don't really count that, because, you know, she was scared, she was lost, she was being
She was
used.
a minor antagonist in that, but she wasn't.
Yeah. And then you see her join the Avengers, but then right after she joins, her brother gets killed. And that's a slight breaking point. She finds Vision. That brings happiness to her. And she's happy for a long time. But then she has to kill Vision herself. And it's not just like her brother, where, you know, he died in combat, he died fighting, but she had to kill him to not even save the world anymore.
Yeah.
Because the snap still happens.
And she alludes to that she mentions
Yeah.
that in the very beginning of the movie, like, and it was for nothing.
Yeah, it
And
was
so
all for
then-
nothing.
And then she's like, the only thing that she really has to hold on to make her feel better was those
It's her
kids.
children.
And she lost them too.
And she lost
And
them as
so
well.
if you can't understand why she wouldn't just go, like, especially coupled with I keep forgetting what the hell this thing is called. What is the dark hold?
Darkhold.
You could see how she gets corrupted, super powerful, and then of course that's exactly what she would want
She
to
was
do.
probably the easiest to corrupt. Because again, and what's great. There we go. In like possession movies and things like that, at least the good ones, they'll show you how good someone is, but how broken they are.
Yeah.
And because they're so broken, they're easy enough to be manipulated or possessed. That's literally what the Darkhold is.
Yeah.
She went there for a good reason. She went to the Darkhold for a good reason. But because her mind was already cracking and breaking, it was so much easier for her just to let the Darkhold take over. Because that was probably the one happiness she had.
Well, and I'm wondering where they're going to take Stephen Strange because, he, at the end of the movie, he beats Wanda by using the Darkhold in the other universe where he is and, takes over the zombie body. But, and I'm glad that it was acknowledged in the mid-credits scene. It was the very end of the movie where he gets the third eye.
Yeah,
so
that
I'm
was
really
weird.
curious where they're going to take this because they kind of just said, the Darkhold corrupts whoever touches it. I'll be curious to see if it's like you have to have continued contact with it for it to corrupt you, if we're going to see a corrupt Stephen Strange.
Yeah.
I would actually like the idea that the Darkhold is trying to get Strange, but he's so strong mentally that it can't fully corrupt him.
Yeah.
So he uses the third eye as kind of an advantage to him.
Yeah, or if when Wanda destroys the Darkhold in their universe, if that kind of breaks any hold it would have had on him, and because the eye thing might be because he possessed a dead body because that
maybe
nature. So I'll be curious to see how they explain everything.
Yeah. So the two things that I was thinking of during this conversation you guys are having is that I do like the weird eye thing, and I'm trying to figure out like if that's going to be like kind of a permanent thing or something he has to get rid of or whatever, because I don't really know the comics if that's just a thing that he normally has. But
I don't think so.
So it does feel like a kind of like how Ragnarok was with giving Thor his missing eye. And then also the other thing that I wanted to touch on the actual movie itself was that I loved the fact that, America's kind of arc was to find out that she does have control over her powers, but not only that, but she realizes this thing that not a lot of heroes do, is that she can't beat Wanda by pure
physically
force alone, but she can beat her at her own game, and then she basically gives her exactly what she wants, just not at the right time, not in the right state.
And we're about an hour and 20 minutes in, but I still want to bring this up. That whole scene from where she starts fighting Wanda, but she uses the multiverse power and it like deals extra damage. So she's like punching her through different multiverses. But it goes from a great action set piece to a heart-wrenching moment.
Oh yeah.
Because
everyone's screaming in that scene.
Oh my god, dude. Like, so you have, I guess, evil Wanda. I'm going to call it that right now. You have the one she's controlling in that multiverse, and then you have her children.
So I'd say Wanda, Scarlet Witch, and their children.
Yeah. So, and by the way, I'm glad that they brought back the same kids from WandaVision.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and
Great
the one kid, awesome enough, is like a horror veteran. He's in a lot of Mike Flanagan stuff.
He's
wow, really?
Conjuring 3. He's the boy being possessed.
And
Conjuring 3.
And he's in Color Out of Space. He's like the
Yeah.
little kid from that too. So he's in a lot
That's
of horror
cool.
movies.
Yeah.
He's
That's
usually wearing
cool.
glasses, but
Yeah.
he's not when he's Wanda's kid.
But so the kids come in, or the kids see Scarlet Witch come through, and they immediately say, "It's the witch! It's the witch!" And they go hiding. I love this moment because like I think it's Billy asked, "You're not going to hurt us, are you? Or you're going to hurt us?" And Wanda has this like something clicks in her head of like, she goes, "No, I would never hurt you,
I would never hurt.
ever."
Brilliant
And
acting.
that was the moment where she was like, "Than anybody." Oh, did you guys hear?
I didn't hear the last little phrase you said.
Oh, well, it was at that moment where she realizes, I'm doing this for my kids, but the people I'm hurting most are my children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not a parent, but that if I was, that would have hit harder.
Yeah. She's
Yeah.
turning herself into a monster. Like what? Like she's informing herself that she's turning into the person that should not be raising her kids because that's not what she wants for her kids.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That was a great moment of acting from Elizabeth Olsen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, well, and even her, the good 838 Wanda, being forgiving and understanding, and Doctor Strange recognizing that like telling America, like, no, just leave it, like she'll come to it, and it'll, I don't know, it was just like a really great scene. It was really well done.
So good.
One of the best lines at the beginning of the movie that I wish they didn't show in the trailer is when Wanda is talking to Strange, and she's like, "When you mess with the time and you mess with the multiverse, you're a hero. When I do the same thing, I'm the villain."
Yeah.
That doesn't seem fair. Again,
Yeah.
different perspectives. That's what makes a great villain. When you can see the villain side and the hero side.
And that's exactly, if you go back, spoiler for anybody who hasn't really, it's not really that big of a, I guess it kind of is, but if you haven't seen Breaking Bad, there's a big scene between Walter and Hank, and they're kind of talking about the law, and they're like, if you go just a few years back, this thing that you do right now, your cigars, they would have been illegal. And then, he talks about why not is meth legal. And then, you get to see the two different perspectives. And so you're exactly right with, and that's how you get a great villain and just great like dynamics between hero and villain when it's kind of blurred and you can see it from both perspectives. Yeah, exactly.
Kerri, you want to add anything?
Yeah, I agree with all that. No, I mean, I truly think this was one of the, I don't know, just Wanda made just such a great villain.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys said you understand where she's coming from and you sympathize with her, even though what she's doing is wrong. And I think this is, a movie where the end, it wasn't one person physically beating another person. It was Wanda learning her lesson and like kind of breaking the Darkhold spell over her. I think Sam Raimi packed in enough action sequences, throughout the movie and then immediately before to have that feel like it wasn't anticlimactic.
Yeah. And the thing that I absolutely adored about her character too is that, like, if this wasn't your favorite villain, I think it's hard to argue that she was not the scariest villain you've ever seen in a Marvel or MCU movie, at least.
Because it actually shows she's a villain. She's like Thanos, but even more powerful than Thanos. Thanos had a purpose, and you know what his purpose was. So kind of like the same thing. But Wanda is 10 times as powerful as Thanos was.
But I also felt like, Thanos was a little more predictable than Wanda was. She'd do anything to accomplish her goal,
Yeah.
and she was like very unpredictable. So that to me is a great scary villain.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. The opening fight scene with the tentacle monster, amazing. Typical Sam Raimi with like the eyeball being stabbed and pulled out. You're just
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
okay, that's what we're getting here.
It's a wonder it didn't pop into anybody's mouth because
Oh, Feige would probably be like, yeah, we can't do that.
great point though, Hunter. Yeah, for sure. The
We
eyeball.
can't
Yeah.
go that far with it. All right, I think we pretty much covered a lot. Unless you guys can think of anything else you want to add.
No, I mean, I think we'll be talking about this movie and a lot of other Marvel movies for, a very long time. So, this is one people are going to be debating over for a long time. It's not universally loved, like, kind of No Way Home with a few, like, detractors out there. It's a little bit more divisive, but I hope people watch it, come around to it after they kind of know what it is, and they can, I don't know, maybe this will also cause people to, watch more Raimi films because he's one of the greatest filmmakers ever, super innovative. So yeah, check out more of his stuff, and maybe watch this one again. And if you still don't like it, it is what it is.
Kerri?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've covered most of it. I'm sure there's stuff we'll think of after we finish this that we're
We
like,
missed
oh,
everything.
That we had talked about. But we can't go on forever. And we've almost gone like the length of the entire movie.
We have actually.
Yeah. I don't know. I really, really love this movie. I think it's right now it's sitting at my third favorite Marvel movie.
Wow, okay.
Whether that goes up or goes down over time.
Yeah. I mean, I'd rank mine in the top 5. It's just hard to, without sitting there and thinking.
Yeah.
There's so many great ones. I don't want to just say, this is my number 1.
No,
but,
I have like a running list, and that's why
hell yeah.
Yeah, so my top, this movie hasn't hit my top 3 yet. Because my top 3 are Black Panther is 1. 2 is Captain America Winter Soldier. And then 3 is Avengers Endgame.
That's a solid top 3, dude. Those are all kind of up there for me as well, towards my top 5.
It might, on a second rewatch, this movie might hit my top 5.
Nice.
Which I wonder if maybe more people will like it on a rewatch because they came in expecting something different than what the movie gave them. I wonder if they come in with the mindset of, okay, this is what the movie is. Maybe they'll end up liking it more, or maybe they won't. Exactly. I mean, it just
that's fine too.
But I will say, this movie is a great gateway horror movie.
Yes,
agree.
Well, and I'm a part of a horror like Discord. And someone was like, "Oh, well, I've never watched Sam Raimi, but I love this so much. I'm gonna watch a Sam Raimi film."
This is a great vehicle, more than the Spider-Man movies from Raimi, because I feel like those were more formulaic. I like them, but they were more, more comic book type movie. This is a comic book movie mixed with horror elements.
Yes, yeah, for sure.
And well, Spider-Man 2 had a lot of good Raimi scenes, especially like the hospital scene with Doc Ock, with the tentacles and things like that. But this movie gives you a lot of what you can expect when you watch a Raimi movie.
Yeah.
You can expect, kind of quick comedy, like dark comedy dialogue. You can expect a lot of camera zooms and camera angles, which he does that Evil Dead shot a lot, like the penning shot for the demons in Evil Dead. He does that a lot here, and every time he does it, I'm like, that's a Raimi shot right there.
Yeah.
That is true. Like, this is the best of both worlds, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Sam Raimi mixed with the best of what a comic book movie could be.
I agree. And speaking about shots, like just the way you're like talking about, like, that's why I think, this one is great for like people who are interested in just like the art of filmmaking, just like the way, he just did like perspective and just, you know, how he showed like Scarlet Witch taking over the other Wanda, you know, stuff like that was just so cool and scary and just, I don't
Dude,
know,
the
just
opening scene, the
so good.
opening dream sequence where it ends and the camera tilts and it's like a mirror shot, and then you come up and you see Strange in the bedroom. I was
Yeah.
like, that is a beautiful transition shot. It's
Yeah.
like one continuous camera motion. It just
Yeah.
kind of, it's almost like you turn the camera and the entire set around just to get that
Yeah.
one shot that comes up. I'm like, that was picture perfect.
Don't show your butt.
All right, so I think we got to end up here because if we keep talking,
Yeah.
we're gonna be here for the length of the entire movie.
Yeah.
Shouting Kerri, where can we find you online?
I'm about to film a match in your horror trivia league, Hunter, and then
Yep.
the three of us also do a podcast called Welcome to Primetime. Usually on Sunday nights we try to do that.
Yeah, we'll be talking this Sunday about Buffy season 2, part 2, because we already talked about the first 11 episodes. Now we have the other half.
Oh my God, the last half of season 2.
I told you it's good, so you know it's a lot to talk about.
By the way, 2 S's on the tier list this week.
Yeah. So for me, I just did a movie battlegrounds debate that was it's very stressful but very fun. I faced Alan Shepard. I'm not sure when that's going to drop, but look out for that. You know, because he's great. It was very fun. And I can't really reveal who I'm playing next, but I'm very excited for that as well. And then also, so on the Dill Pickle Movie Network, every month we do a year of the Oscars. It's called Picture This is our show. And we do a year of the Oscars. We talk about the Best Picture nominees, the winner. We rank them. We talk about actors and actresses from that year, the ceremony itself, the year. And, you know, we have a great time doing it. This month we are doing 2012, a bit of a retrospective since it is 2022. And, so we're very excited for that. We did other stuff like a Disney, draft that we did, and a new show he has called Draft Day, which is really fun. Doing a lot of stuff over there. I'll be playing in Hunter's Horror League again soon. I hope to maybe jump in his singles one day if there's an opening. But yeah, and then also there's going to be an MCU exhibition soon, and I'm excited for that as well.
Yep.
On
May 29th, Sunday,
Perfect.
May 29th.
Check all that out, and that's pretty much. Oh, I did just drop a MCU Phase 1 ranking on my channel, Chadwick Webb, with myself, Kerri, and our buddy James. We're trying to go through all the phases with that one, so that one's pretty fun. But yeah, so check that out. I got some other rankings like Edgar Wright, Christmas, and Harry Potter. So, But thank you for watching. This was fun. Thank you, Hunter.
Of course. All right, guys. So if you did enjoy this, hit the like button, subscribe to Nerd Entertainment Network down below. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys soon.